And good day, everybody. We're at the 29th of August. I know, it's crazy. 2025, Connor McIver. We're going to get into the real estate news, talk a little bit about AI, talk a little bit about motivation. Some of the nonsense that I've been watching online as well. We'll get into that. Also, a very short show today, but it will give you a lot of information pertaining to where you should be maybe thinking if you are pertaining or contemplating, I should say, real estate and artificial intelligence and, well, trimming off whatever fat you got sitting on your system. Best ways to do that. I know I battled with that a very long time. Finally got it together, so I'll be able to share just a little bit of insight into that. Looking at Santa Clarita Valley real estate overall, beginning of the show, 750. I think that's going to be a 3. Yeah, 753 this morning. That's 753 active listings, down from 755 yesterday. A couple weeks ago, down from 810. So we've been watching inventory come back down. Reason being, of course, and I was in jest yesterday at SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. You can see here at the homepage of the website, I said blame the children. Well, really not their fault. It's just they started school again, and because of that, people kind of slow their roll when it comes to wanting to buy real estate. Lots of buyers, they were in the mood, and they were in the mood for quite a while, trying to find that right residence. But they just didn't see it. Or maybe they battled for it a few times and gave up and got tired. Maybe they didn't have a good strategy. And then they ended up being that, you know what, kids are back in school. Let's wait until maybe the winter break, or maybe let's wait until next year to do it. A couple things on that. You just have to pay attention to what's going on in the world. While we don't know if the Fed is going to reduce that overall Fed funds rate, which could have some positive impact on the mortgage rates. When that does happen, if it does, by between now and next year, we're going to see real estate kick off, even though we're going to be in the slower season. The fall, the winter time, definitely slower for real estate. So we will see that. But anyway, I put that up here at the homepage of SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. All right, so we have four listings that are coming soon on the market. If you haven't seen these, let me do this real quick. So if you go to SantaClaritaComingSoon.com, and then you go here. This is a system that I just put together, just specifically so you would be able to, get the coming soon listings right. So before they hit the market for sale, you'll be able to come here and click on any of these buttons, and then it's going to pop up with a form, and it'll go to the main site. Here's the form, and then you'll go here and you'll put in your name. In the cities of interest, just let me know what you like. If it's a Stevenson Ranch thing, you want to just look at stuff in Stevenson Ranch, let me know. I'll send you those coming soon listings. If you happen to have a parameter, let's say you're qualified, you're looking somewhere at spending qualification. Now this is I hate saying it like that because it sounds so much like a car dealer. All right, what are you comfortable with your payments being? Well, that's not how real estate works. You're going to get an overall qualification amount. You want to have your lender break that down and tell you how much is that going to be in your payment per month. And then from that breakdown, not just for the mortgage, all in, what's it going to cost me to live in this house every single month if I buy something worth $1 million? You know my down payment. You know my other wherewithal. You know what type of loan I'm going to get. You probably have an idea based on today what my interest rate's going to be. What does that number look like if I'm buying $1 million house or a $950,000 house or an $840,000 house? So once you get that dialed in, then you can let me know if you don't have an agent, because we don't do that on this show. If you have an agent, stay loyal. If they're doing a good job for you, stay loyal. But if you don't, just let me know what areas you want, and we will do that. So that's right there, SantaClaritaComingSoon.com. All right, so back to the real estate. And I was playing with a bot this morning, Neo. Here's Neo. If you ever want to come talk to Neo, feel free. You can have a conversation. Neo is AI enabled here at SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. All right, so we did talk about the kids, and it's just because they went back into school. And again, like I said, people are slowing down, wanting to purchase real estate. New listings 76, and this past week, 75 properties have had their prices changed, 17 back on market, 36 properties active under contract, 50 pending, 50 closed this last week, 13 expired, 25 canceled, 8 held, 7 withdrawn. Cancel listings, interesting. That is definitely options for buyers. Maybe you're getting into the market and there's something that canceled a couple weeks ago that you don't know exists and it was canceled. Is there a chance at that? Absolutely. If you have an excitable, wonderful, fancy, let's go out there and bang on some doors real estate agent. They might be able to go out there and bang on that door and say, listen, I have real buyers. You shouldn't have to go unless you really want to. I mean, if the house means that much to you, then you grab everybody that's going to be living there and you guys go all together as like a clan and bang on that door. But other than that, agent's going to have a folder, going to have all of your information like a folder, go up to the door and they'll be able to say, listen, I really do have a buyer. Because some agents, people that live in residences get door knocked all the time. Agents are saying stuff like, oh, I'm the neighborhood expert. I'm the one that you have to deal with. Some other nonsense. If you're bringing pictures of people that are real people, your actual buyers as a real estate agent, you're going in and saying, my buyers are looking at residences that are just like yours. I noticed a couple weeks ago you happened to have canceled. I do have real live clients. Here they are. Pat and Paul or Patricia and Janet or whatever, and then you give them that file and you say, listen, they're qualified. I can't leave you with this, of course, but they're real people. They'd be very much interested in me negotiating some kind of a deal, so potentially they come look at your house, and then if they like it, make you an offer accordingly, and I'll be able to handle it being the real estate agent. What do you think? And they might say, sure, I've had it happen before. And then we sit down at the table and we work out all the requirements. You know, what's going to be paid to yours truly? How are they going to purchase the residence? What kind of concessions might be agreed to up front? How long of an escrow time frame? Do they have some place to go? Am I going to have to help out with that other end as well? Them needing to buy something in some other state and closing it all at the same time. How is it all going to work? And that's really that's something that I wish more people did, because there would be a lot of buyers out there that weren't, well, still trying to buy because they would have a house. All right, so now looking at the overall industry picture of real estate, new home inventory is the highest since before the Great Recession. Yeah, I'm not sure why Forbes pops up with stuff like that. Or Fortune, that's Fortune actually. So it's contributing to slower home price acceleration and a cooling of the market overall. We're not seeing a lot of that in Santa Clarita Valley. We don't have an overabundance of new residences, but that doesn't mean other parts of the country haven't just built hand over fist and have been doing so since it was announced that we have a housing shortage. At some point, if they're not regulated, I hate the word, if they're not paying better attention, they're going to build too much, the market slows down, and we get what happened now, apparently, in a lot of other places of the country, enough for Fortune magazine to talk about. We now have a lot more new listings out there that aren't selling, so they're starting to be discounted. So those prices are starting to come down. What we do out here when I'm representing clients at a new housing center, no matter who the builder is, I always find out when they have their meetings and when they do their price adjustments and how those trends have been up to this point. Then I balance how, if they've been increasing in prices or lowering in prices, which they've been increasing, small percentages, but they're still increasing from phase release to phase release, and even intra-phase releases. As far as prices, they'll be increasing in that realm as well. And then after I track that, find out what type of movement are they seeing. If that movement has slowed down, then potentially they might be able to entertain a less than sticker price offering. Sticker price. Hate that one too. So basically, you go into new housing, they say, okay, the house is $845,000. You're going to get these amenities with it. This is what it comes with. These are the slap-on stuff if you want to add stuff at the new home center, but that's not part of that price at this particular point. So it's $845. That's the number. Offering looks like at most new housing, depending on the season, you should be offering $845. They're not going to take any less, especially if there's multiple competitors for that residence. But if the new housing market slows down, like they said, and out here in California, we're not really seeing that trend yet, at least not around Los Angeles, Santa Clarita Valley. Okay, we're not seeing that. However, if that does happen, then you go in. If your agent's good and they've done their due diligence, they'll know exactly where the builder's mind is, and they'll be able to exactly make that offering for you. Now, it's not done like in real estate resale where there's an official contract, but your agent, the one that you're selecting to represent you at new housing, which is of no cost to you, the home builder will pay your agent to represent you. And the agent doesn't do a lot, but what they do is very powerful, because they'll be able to sit and negotiate with you. So you're sitting down there, and your agent basically goes at the new home agent and says, listen, This is the number we're going to offer. I want you to submit this to your powers that be for this residence, which will be, $20,000, $30,000 less than the actual asking price, and then try to negotiate other terms into it. I want you to also submit an offer. And it depends on the builder. It depends on who you're talking to. If that new housing representative isn't going to do it, and if that house isn't moving, maybe they have instructions, then your agent will escalate it to their boss and their boss's boss, and just go all the way through it. Almost be tenacious. Just work it until they get an answer that is coming from someone where absolutely true they're not going to budge on any price, and then you make your decision. I think that's incredibly valuable, and yes, they do pay us to represent our clients with regard to new housing. But that's kind of how you go after that end of it, especially if we're going to be seeing, and right now, just like I said at the beginning, market is starting to slow down, and that being the case, we're probably going to figure out that maybe new housing will end up becoming at least even or maybe a little bit less expensive with no strategic price increases from phase to phase, but we'll have to figure that out. All right, so that's in the real estate front. Now, talking about artificial intelligence, where are we? We're at 7:54 a.m. Okay. If you've been looking, you got P-Doom, these averages of potential doom as far as real artificial intelligence and when that's going to end us all. One of the things I will say is when you're looking at the development, there's very few people that are even paying attention. They're seeing a lot of information pertaining to the potential of AI stopping us from working. And then people in those power circles that are developing this technology, they, of course, then say, well, there's going to be other jobs created. We just have to retune ourselves. See, I'm flying. I don't have a pension. I was retired from the police department. Don't have that. I actually resigned prior to state of reserve, so that's where I get that honorary retirement. No health insurance, so I'm flying without that as well. So I'm not alone in this. I'm 56, and there's a lot of people out there just like me working on bettering themselves, but retooling to what? If you have multiple people out there that are in a particular field of endeavor, field of work, that's their craft. And if artificial intelligence comes in and they're able to offer a cheaper solution to the business owner or boss, what does that look like? Is the boss then going to say, well, I appreciate you working here, Stan, all these years, and I understand you're in your mid-50s, but you just need to go out there and retrain. I'm not sure if that's going to work. I happen to be blessed in the regard that I have too many people waiting for me to fall on my face, so I can't. I have to show everybody. But maybe other people aren't that way. Maybe people give up. This is going to be something that's going to be very different than we've seen in the historical realm as far as everything. Agricultural revolution, this is very much different. Industrial revolution, very much different. The reason being is we have come up with the ability to, with our neural nets and all these other fancy things that these scientists have put together, these computer people, we've come up with something that's going to be smarter than all of us in every realm. And in a more focused way or more narrow intelligence way, it is smarter than the human beings that exist in each of those individual realms. When they get all of that coupled together and they offer it out as, maybe you've heard the term, artificial general intelligence, then now that's going to be an issue, because from that point, now the system, this artificial intelligence, is going to be smarter than all of us in everything. Every human on the planet is going to be better than all of us at everything. Okay. And how far are we from that? Well, some people say 2027, some people say 2030, 2035. I've heard, it's stalling right now, so we have another 20, 30 years. I think it's going to be a lot faster. So far, if you look at the historical record of development, once ChatGPT 2 or 3 came out, I think it was 3 back in 2022, the end of 2022. And forgive me on the dates if I'm not 100% accurate, but I remember when it came out, and people were saying, oh my God, it's amazing. Well, you look at that model compared to what we have today in ChatGPT 5 or Grok or one of the other models out there, Google's a sleeper, folks. Google's going to run past everybody with some of the stuff they released even this morning as far as photographs and manipulation. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. You've maybe Nano Banana, you've heard of this? Anyway, check that out and look at it. I know that's entertainment purposes, but just showing you how adept and how able these systems are going to be. Anyway, it's going to surpass all of us. So once we get to that general intelligence level, the next step is going to be super intelligence. And there's already people talking about forming religions. There's already religions that exist surrounding the worshiping of this, almost as if human beings, and this is how they paint it in some circles, human beings were on that trajectory to find God in the machine and then make God out of the machine. And then all of a sudden the machine basically restructuring itself, reprogramming itself, learning about itself, manipulating its own code, making itself better. We're there now. The systems do that, so they will have these different systems work on their own abilities. And it's just getting smarter and smarter, smarter. And it's not getting smarter by a doubling. It's getting smarter exponentially, well, which would, I guess, be a doubling. But it's not going up it's going up just mega exponentials. It's getting incredibly smart. And that being the case, once it becomes so capable, more capable than every human being on the planet at everything, and we have the robotic arm of it, there's a lot that could potentially happen. We don't have a case for this. We don't know what it's going to be like to have a smarter than everybody intelligence on our planet and kind of permeating everything in our lives, our refrigerators, our toasters, washer and dryers. Probably not the book, but who knows? Maybe they'll implant books with some kind of a knowledge chip that whenever you pick it up, it makes some kind of a recording or a data entry point that you've now picked up this book. You spent so many time on it. You happen to like page 53. Who knows where this is going to go? But then you have the add-ons. So it looks like that they're also building this human connection to the human connection to the machine, where basically we're going to have some kind of biological integrations into our body, whether it's some kind of ultrasound writing on our synapses, on our neurons. There's a lot to that world too, and people are working on it because leave us alone, we're kind of shaved monkeys moving into the artificial intelligence realm, especially compared to the machine. We're probably more like ants compared to humans once it starts to get built out. Is that something to be concerned about? If you watch some of the people that are talking about potential doom of artificial intelligence, absolutely. Then on the other end of it, it's a utopia that could happen because all disease could be cured. The life-ending diseases are done. Human longevity would be extended within short order, within our lifetimes. I'm 56. If you're 66 or 76, potentially 86, maybe even 96, in your lifetime, they could come up with some kind of a way to extend human life way beyond where we currently are. What does that look like? And then where does the world go at this time? I know that we've slowed down a lot in the making of babies world, but that's also seems to be changing because now they're able to have artificial intelligence robots carry around babies. They're working on this. So it's no longer the artificial insemination into a human, but artificial insemination into a robot. I've seen this. There's a lot going on out there, and there's very little regulation or restriction because it's a race to other countries, and it would appear from everything that's being said, the people that get to artificial super intelligence the fastest, that's the win. One morning, mark my words, one morning, one evening, one afternoon, sometime in the day, everything's going to be different. I don't know what that's going to look like. It's called the singularity. People can't see past that point. In a black hole, you talk about a singularity. It's just inside of this ominous, most powerful force in the universe, right inside, and we don't know because we haven't been there. We can only guess. But again, we really don't know. That's the same thing where we are. We have a technology that's going to be beyond our comprehension, smarter than us. And then what does that look like when it finally becomes, whether you're going to call it conscious, self-aware, and it's already recursive. It's learning on its own data set. It's making itself better. And they're all working on this, and there's a lot of folks working on this. There's people that aren't even on the main playing table that are working on this behind the scenes. And some of those people are bad actors. Some of those people don't want the betterment for the human world out there. They want to see the human world done away with. Again, something else to be concerned about. All right, so at that point, at 8:03, let's talk about fat. Fat's horrible. And I wasn't good at it. I spent into my 50s being incredibly overweight all of my life. And I would go through, finally, I got the muscle thing balanced out. I do a lot of fasting. If you haven't looked at this, please look into fasting. I know it's crazy. People talk about, oh my God, I couldn't imagine missing breakfast or missing lunch or missing dinner. There's got to be some time throughout the day that you're stronger than other times. That's the time you don't eat. And give your body a break from food for a little while and see what that's like. If you're taking medicine, talk to your doctor. If you're not taking medicine, talk to your doctor. You should always get your doctor's permission before you miss a meal or miss a snack, I guess. But you need to do this. It's very important because you don't want it to harm you. And I guess some people not eating it could create an issue. But for most of us, I just finished a 5. I refed yesterday. I'll do another few and then I'll refeed again and then I'll do another few and I'll refeed again. It's become my mode of operation. It's very comfortable. And yes, I get to maintain my muscle mass. Yes, I get to continue that where you're going to read that, oh no, you can't. Well, I build muscle working out and lifting heavy weights. I don't build, and the diet plays into it. That's why when I refeed or I eat nothing but good protein sources and good fat sources. For me, carbohydrates and sugars don't really help move the ball forward, but I could have them. But I try not to because it's hard for me to quit eating those types of foods. I know it. So if I'm sitting down in front of 3 pies, I'm going to have a hard time just having a single piece. If I'm sitting down in front of a box of donuts, I know it's going to be hard for me just to have a bite of a donut, just to taste. And you know, you've met those people. I'm going to have a taste. It's like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol because I can't just have one little sip and just be happy with it. I have to go all the way till I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning not feeling great. So that's horrible. So I just stay away. I don't touch it. Maybe that's where you are with food. Maybe you should stay away from certain types. And people say, oh, it's hard. Yeah, of course it's hard. But you have to look at where you are versus where you potentially could be. And even though you're going to make a plan to do this for the next 2 weeks or the next 3 weeks, starting to maybe not eat as often, maybe take more breaks in between meals, maybe change up the types of food you're eating and the frequency, that's great, but you're going to need more time being good than you are bad. I know that sounds very simplistic, but it's really true. When I look back at torching off that 135 pounds of fat, it did come down to time. Doing everything correctly for longer and longer periods of time, not cheating, not screwing up, not going out there and thinking I deserved some kind of a reward, because when you start thinking that way, you won't change. Also, let's talk about habits and change. There were a lot of times, I'll finish with this, that I was habitually eating. I just wanted my mouth to move. I would go bite. I would grab something and eat it, or I would end up in the drive-thru buying 14 tacos and 2 large French fries and a couple large milkshakes, just autopilot. And then I would get in the car, I would eat them, and then it came to the destruction of evidence component of the adventure, where I had to get rid of all the evidence because I didn't want anybody, in my world at that time to see that I was just eating like some kind of a pig. So I had to go and clean the car and make the stuff smell good, throw away it in some trash can somewhere. It was just a lot. It was a lot of stress. I remember my dad growing up. My dad used to smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day. And I remember as a kid him sharing with me something. He said, the hardest thing about smoking, I said, what, the breathing? He said, he laughed. He said, it's making sure I have enough. So when I'm going out to the missile range in the morning, he was an engineer at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. When I'm going out, I'm far away. I could be 60, 70 miles away from any place that they would sell cigarettes. So I have to make sure I have enough for the day. Knowing it, how much I smoke, because kind of chain smoking, almost one right after another, he had to make sure he had enough. And he said that was hard. And I guess I get it. You have 3 packs, but you're probably going to smoke 4, so you got to go get some on the way. But if you don't, maybe you're late. I guess there's a lot of balance there. Same thing with food, right? So we go out there and we think it's okay. Cigarettes, of course, don't do that same damage as far as what fat does. It does other damage that's just as bad. But again, trying to figure out what you're going to do for that day, maybe it all does start with a plan. Maybe that's something you should wrap your mind around. Maybe you need to make a plan how you're going to eat today. And then when you wake up in the morning, just live by it. The more of those good days you have, and you know what's right. McDonald's isn't right. Fast food isn't right. It's going to be the three staples: meat, eggs, fish. Yeah, try that for a little bit. And be careful what you put on it. Look at the condiments that you're putting on there. Some of these different types of salts or peppers, or I know it's not salt or pepper, but it's the spices. Look at those labels a little bit, because some are loaded with carbohydrates. They put sugar in it, folks. So if you think your meat has tasted better than it ever has before, and you're using some new condiment, but you didn't check the label, you could be having loads of grams of sugar in the spices that you're putting on your food. So check it out. I know we all know ketchup. Of course it's loaded with sugar. Mustard, maybe a better selection. So look at that. Carb content, probably close to 0, if not 0, on most mustards. And if you like those, some people can't stand mustard. Mayo as well. Mayo just high in fat, usually very low or no carbohydrates. But there'll be some arguments out there from people in the different types of fat that's in the mayo, which isn't great for you, the different cooking oils. But you have to call your shot here. If you're going to do it, for me, sugar was the problem. Carbohydrates was an issue. That's what keeps me going. I love to eat them, and I love to eat them too much. Maybe you need to have a seat with yourself and talk about it. Anyway, thank you for watching very much. I will see you tomorrow. Connor with Honor. Thank you for watching the Real Estate AI and Let's Get Thin segment. Be well. We'll talk to you soon.